We're live. We're live.
Welcome to the Play to the Whistle podcast. Quick episode, 72. Obviously, 71's out. Give that a listen if you haven't listened to that already. Follow us on the socials at the PTTW podcast. It's on Twitter and on Instagram. And subscribe to the YouTube channel. So obviously, just a quick episode, obviously, with Manchester United confirming Ralf Rangnick as the new interim manager. What was your thoughts on that, Theo?
Do you know what? I think it's an interesting appointment because obviously, like I said on episode 71, there wasn't many people sort of screaming his name before Poch and Rogers was in there. But he's someone that is interesting to see someone of his sort of caliber. He's obviously a quality coach. He's done well within the Bundesliga as well, previous to this as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how he incorporates and brings in his own sort of ideas, his style of play, that kind of stuff as well. We spoke about it briefly yesterday on the other episode around how he likes to see his teams like to press. So it's going to be interesting to see how he gets the team that's currently there now, and if he brings in any additional players. That was a question I wanted to ask you. If he's going to potentially bring in more players to try and get the style that he wants to fit in the current United team, do you think he'll do that?
I think this is where the consultancy thing should kick in because if he's if they are going to follow the plan, yeah, and he's going to be there for 2 years after this, then we don't have all the players to implement his style of play. So they're going to have to dip in the market, and they might have to do that in January. They'll definitely do it in the summer, but they probably have to do it in January anyway. So it makes sense to. But I think in terms of his style of play, it's repetition, isn't it? Like it's repetition through training, through drills, through like you know training based on like shape as well. And they work on things like that. You'll be able to implement it. It'll take a few weeks, but it's what I said before when we was talking about like when we talk about Oli on here. Like to implement a style of play, it doesn't take that long if you're a top coach. Like Tuchel did it with Chelsea straight away. Conte's done it with Spurs already, pretty much. You're just lacking the players. Klopp did it when he first walked in at Liverpool. You can implement your style of play even if you haven't got all the right tools to do it. You can still get it done. So I think eventually, you'll see us playing in that style of play that he wants. And listen, this is what I said. This was kind of saying yesterday as well. Like, if you're gonna commit to what they're doing, and he's going to stay there consulting, and also in the 6 months, the board have to listen to whatever he says. So if he's saying like, okay, I don't want to name players. I don't want to like do that, yeah. But if certain men ain't fitting the style of play, they just need to be moved on. It's as simple as that. We can't waste any more time with the board disagreeing with what the manager's saying. When you're just wasting time when that happens. Like what happened with us, previous managers. It's happened at Spurs, for example. When a manager says, "Okay, I can't work with this guy. This guy don't fit the style of play," especially when different managers are also saying that, just move him on now. And I think that's what we need to see happen at the club as well.
It'd be interesting to see if that does happen. But going back to your point around bringing in players, especially in January, which is always difficult when you want to try and bring in the right player that suits the style and stuff like that. Obviously, midfield has always been a big question for United in terms of Fred McTominay not having that sort of right fit in the midfield. Is that something you can see being top of the list of things to sort out?
Yeah, it has to be because midfield, regardless of what your style of play is, it's the engine room. It's where everything happens. Whether you play direct, whether you play counter, possession, it all breaks down in the midfield if it's not right. And defensively, it's a line of defense as well. So if that has to be sorted out because that'll be easy. It'll be easier to transition. It'll be easier to build your play. It's easier to defend as well. That's the other thing because defending and attacking is all one unit. You do it together. You don't just like
You can't have one
practice
without the
defensive
other.
shape without. Yeah, exactly. So it has to be sorted. Whether they do it in January or attempt to do it in January, or they get something in place and it's done in the summer, they need to do it 100%. Because, and I've said this before, Fred with the right partner is a good player, and same with McTominay, but together it doesn't work, and they're both not defensively minded players. I think sometimes in football, yeah, I think we confuse when players are good at getting the ball back or recovering the ball with defending. Like when you watch Matic yesterday, or just in general, or Fabinho, Rodri, they've been better at it lately. Fernandinho, their shape, their positioning, they're in the right places before anything's even happened. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's the thing with Fred and McTominay, positionally in the defensive phase, they're never in the right positions. So yeah, I want that to be sorted if possible. And if not, you have to coach something, or you have to set up a shape that we can deal with it a bit better than we have been.
I was going to ask you because obviously, well, two questions, but the first one is if ideally you can bring someone in that position in midfield in January. Obviously, Champions League, and that plays a big factor because obviously some players don't want to move to certain clubs within that sort of mid season window. But if you had the opportunity to bring in someone, who would be like a realistic, ideal player that you'd want to bring in?
Um,
Because there's a few that could potentially come in, I suppose.
yeah,
Or
it's
do you
it's a
stick
tough one, man, because
what you've got, and then like you just said, you kind of fit what you've got now to make it work better in terms of the positioning, the shape. Do you work on that for the
yeah,
next
I
6
think
months? Bring that in the summer,
I,
next
I
summer.
yeah, I think that's more realistic. Like, as much as I want them to do it in January or find someone, I think it's more realistic that they just coach and work on the shape and solidify that until the summer. I like Calvin Phillips, to be quite honest with you, from Leeds. I don't know if they can get that done. He's got bags of energy, he can press, he can take the ball off the centre backs, and he's comfortable in the ball as well, good in the tackle, and he reads the game well. I don't know how much it would cost, but from the realistic end, I'd like him. I'd also like Basuma. Basuma would be good in there as well.
Works hard.
Um, Works hard, comfortable on the ball as well, and he can get himself out of situations sometimes too. So yeah, I think one of them two. The Declan Rice talk, it's not happening in January if we're being realistic, because West Ham won their group. They're still in the Europa League. He's not going to leave mid-season. Um, or not even that he's not going to leave. West Ham are not going to sell him mid-season.
And if they did, it would be some stupid
Um,
as well. It wouldn't even be a realistic amount. They'd want to
yeah,
obviously double what they potentially would be selling him for now anyway. So
yeah. Look, if we're being realistic, West Ham are going to want 100 million when they sell him. That's the
oh,
truth, isn't it?
that's-
They're going to try and get 100 mil for him. I think everyone knows that. So wherever he does go, it's going to be at least 80 million. But I think Calvin Phillips or Basuma, but realistically, I don't. Maybe neither will happen, because they might not want to. The other thing you got to look at with the interim thing, yeah, even though he's going to be at the club after, players might not want to move now because they might not be the next manager's type of player. So if it is Poch kind of could work. Poch would work with either of those players, isn't it? Based on the players he's had in the past, if it's him. But at the same time, most players move for managers as much as they move for clubs.
yeah, yeah.
So they're going to want to know who the actual manager is going to be.
I was just going to ask as well because obviously you got your interim sorted, but do you think from now until this next 6 months, surely, or maybe they might announce the permanent manager before the end of the season as well? I think that if they could do that, it's going to be unrealistic. Might be unrealistic because obviously that can then disrupt someone else's club somewhere else, unless it's a manager that's not in a club at the moment. But if it is someone like Poch who's at PSG, try and get that deal done in the next 6 months, but maybe keep it under wraps or something like that until maybe near the end of the season.
Yeah, I think personally, yeah, I do think it's going to be him. Like, I know Kieran was saying yesterday that like the only manager we definitely knew wanted the job was Steve Bruce, yeah. But look, it's different when you're not in a job. It's different when you're not in a job. you can be vocal about other jobs, innit? You can talk that talk, you can put the feelers out. When you're in a job and you want another job, you have to move silent. You got to let things do the work for you. So for him to come out and look, we know he wants to move on from Paris. It's not working with him and Leonardo. He's having issues with the board. His family still lives in London, so he wants to be back in England. And he tried to leave to go back to Spurs already. So we know he definitely wants to leave PSG. But I think, to answer your question, I think while they're still in the Champions League, I don't think they will confirm it because you wouldn't want to distract the players.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I think once they're out of that, once they're out of the Champions League, I think they're 10 points clear in the league, aren't they?
10 or
Or something
12.
like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so the league's practically, it'll be done soon in the next 5, 6, 7 games. If they maintain the winning run, it will be over early doors. So if the league's over early doors and they got knocked out the Champions League, it'll be easier to confirm him as the next manager. But I think that PSG are just digging their heels in at the moment because they don't have another manager in place yet, and it's mid-season and they're still in the Champions League.
It's true. And I think ideally maybe Zidane goes to PSG, then Poch comes. I think you're right. I think Poch has definitely said numerous times that he wants to
Yeah,
come back. And he knows the Premier League well. The problem with PSG is if he doesn't win the Champions League, it's almost curtains for him anyway. That's what he's got to win. The league is almost a given when you're PSG. You spend that much money, or you've got that caliber of players. But the Champions League is what PSG will want. So if they get knocked out, I think that will speed a lot of those things up in terms of trying to get Poch into it, United as well.
yeah, and you're right as well. Like you're just there to try and win the Champions League. The league's a foregone conclusion most seasons. You have the anomaly like what happened last season, the Monaco season. That's 2 of the last 10 league titles or 8. They've won 8 of the last 10 or something like that. 8 of the last 11, sorry, league titles. So you're there to win the Champions League. But look, I, I I've watched some of their Champions League games this season. They're not winning that. So,
Even
and I
against
don't
City,
think that's Poch's fault. Yeah, it's not Poch's fault. And them with the way the front three are playing for PSG in Champions League, you can get away with that in the league because they've got so much ability in the team that they can walk the league matches. Yeah, but you see in the Champions League, where you come up against Liverpool, City, Chelsea, Bayern Munich, that's a level above anything that they're going to play against, and you have to be on it in every single aspect of the game, defensively, attacking in transitions. You have to be on it. They're not going to be on it when it comes to them matches against those type of teams. So they're not going to win that anyway,
it's true, man.
in my
But
opinion.
I was going to ask if you got to see Roy Keane and Jamie Carragher going at it yesterday after the game, and they were
Yeah,
talking about pressing,
yeah,
which we talk about. But in terms of Ronaldo, obviously big player coming in that Oli potentially may not have even had a decision in bringing him in at the club. But can you see him starting more games under Rangnick as well, or can you see it just being the same thing? Or I don't know, because he's not really, for me, he's not sort of, he doesn't track back as such. Can he press? I don't
yeah.
know. Is he someone that's
He
going to
never
fit?
has. But this is the thing, yeah. This is why that debate was funny because obviously they're very passionate about what they're saying, so they started shouting. But just because people are shouting doesn't mean they're not making sense, yeah. And they were both right. That's the funny thing, yeah. They were both right in what they were saying, yeah. We only signed Ronaldo because he's going to City, but you can't admit that as a club, yeah. There was no plan to sign him. They got Sancho to play on the right. Greenwood, Cavani, and Martial was going to play down the middle. And then Sancho Martial could also cover for Rashford on the left, yeah? So the whole thing, attacking from an attacking point of view, made sense, yeah? But obviously they can't let him go City without a fight, innit? So they had to sign him, yeah? But look, both people are right, yeah? Because you got to look at it from one side, yeah? Ronaldo scored 10 goals this season, yeah? Without Ronaldo's goals, Man United would be out the Champions League, yeah?
Facts.
I think he scored 2 winners, got us a draw last minute, and then scored the first one in that last game, yeah? He scored a few important goals in the league as well. But then I saw another stat that without him in the league, we've won um, half the games, and with him, we've won less. But look, Ronaldo's never pressed. This is the thing. I remember we played Barcelona, yeah, when we won the Champions League in the new camp. Rooney had to play left wing, yeah. Rooney played on the left. No, but this is the truth. Rooney played on the left. I think Tevez was on the right wing. So man are playing out of position just so Ronaldo could play down the middle, yeah. And he's playing down the middle, not pressing or nothing like that. This is prime Ronaldo before Real Madrid, by the way.
Yeah.
And he's just there for the counter attack. And he had a few chances, missed them. I think he missed the penalty as well, and we drew 0-0. Yeah. But this was the same thing. He's not playing on the wing. Then when we played the second leg, when Scholes scored the winner, I think we was playing 4-4-2, but Ronaldo was up front. Then the next Premier League game, he's back on the wing. So when Fergie moved him up front in important matches because he knew we weren't going to graft. So, and Real Madrid was the same thing. When Jose's had him, Benzema's doing the dog work. He's just there to score goals. So it's not. We know this about him. Yeah. So it's like, what are you going to do about it now that he's there? And that's it. You know, you got to make a plan. This is where you're a coach. It doesn't matter if you have a philosophy. Yeah. Sometimes you got to deviate from your philosophy, or you got to alter things for certain situations or players. And if you're going to buy him, you can't have someone like him. The odd game, I get it. Like yesterday, you want to be compact off the ball and break lightning speeds. That's what Sancho and Rashford did yesterday. Yeah. So I get it in games like that. But you ain't gonna have a man like Ronaldo sitting on the bench all season. It's just gonna cause too much problems. So unfortunately, whether you like it or not, yeah, you got to find a way to pen man into this team and make it work.
I agree with that. I think he's still got the quality to obviously play at this level and to play in that team. But I don't think there's an issue with benching him as well, if that makes sense. I don't think he's not going to. How old is he now? 37, so he can't play every game anyway.
Yeah.
Maybe he can, because he does look after himself. He can. So I'll take that back. But
I think he could, yeah, but it's look. I said this about. It's not just. So finish what you're saying. Sorry.
No. I was saying he doesn't need to play every game because you've got enough cover up front, in my opinion. You've got Sancho, like you just said, Rashford, Greenwood, Cavani, all of those players there that can do that job as well. I know Rashford doesn't really press either, does he? So
no, and this is the funny thing. So this is why I said they were both right yesterday. Yeah, was like for some reason, just because we got Ronaldo now, we seem to be talking about pressing a lot with United. Yeah, United haven't pressed like since Louis van Gaal. Yeah, he had us pressing. Jose Mourinho's teams don't press; they just get behind the ball. Yeah, as you know, yeah, they could just get behind the ball. Oli tried to make this team press here, but it's just not going to work here because Rashford doesn't press, as we saw yesterday, or that was the tactic, I think. But we've seen under Oli, he doesn't press. Greenwood doesn't press. Yeah, that's why Wan-Bissaka gets exposed a lot, and Luke Shaw on the other side. So the only one that actually does it was Bruno and Cavani, and then Fred follows up well. So does McTominay. Yeah, but they're the only ones that do it. So that's what I mean. Rangnick's going to have to coach that. They're going to have to build it, work on it in patterns. They're going to have to do drills, the pressing type of drills, and like through repetition and application, then it can work properly. But yeah, it's one of them. But to answer your original question anyway, I'm of that school of thinking anyway that you can't have the same team for every game anyway, because all teams play with different styles of play. So you're going to have to come away from what you think is your ideology, philosophy sometimes anyway, to just think about the opposition sometimes. Because like I was trying to say on the episode when we had the guests on a few weeks back or last weekend, Arsenal trying to play out from the back, for example, against a team like Liverpool that presses that well, sometimes even if you want to play out from the back, you've got to slightly alter things.
yeah.
So maybe not just clear your lines, maybe just like sometimes Man City do it. Edison will clip it into a winger. Yeah, Ramsdale's got the feet to do that, yeah, and the vision. So maybe do that. And that's what I meant sometimes. So with our team, like yesterday, I like that team because it's about running, it's about like getting the ball transitions and trying to do so. We weren't going to come and dominate, so you don't need players like Ronaldo on the pitch in them situations because
Made sense. Made
we're not
sense.
going to have enough. We're not going to have enough of the ball for him to get into the game. So yeah, rotate. Use the players based on form as well. So, and he's 37. He's not going to be able to play at the same intensity in every game. He's fit, and look, he's going to score loads of goals anyway. He's already on 10 goals. We're in December, so he's still going to get his 20 plus.
Yeah,
So it's not really a problem.
it's true, man. We'll have to see Ronaldo. But before we wrap up, obviously, I was thinking this morning, Thomas Tuchel came in around this time at Chelsea. I think it was a bit later. I think it was middle of December, maybe January. But he came in at this time, turned things around, won the Champions League. What's your expectations for the next sort of like 5, 6 months for Ragnick? Can you see him doing something? Is it just a top four finish? Is that what we should still be looking at for United, or do you reckon it should be trophy? Maybe even go on to do something better.
Well, 100%, he has to get top four. The thing Ollie did the last 2 years, he's got top four. So he needs to get top four, 100%. We need to be in the Champions League, especially if we're trying to build. We need to be able to bring players in next summer. You can't bring players in really when you're in the Europa League. It's tough. So that has to be the bare minimum. Like, and even from me, I wouldn't accept anything less than that because I know he's got enough of the season left to secure that. Yeah, and I want the FA Cup. I want the FA Cup. For me, I know what Kieran thinks of the other cups here and that, and I know what some other people think about them. But me, trophy's a trophy. You got to lift something at the end of the season. It adds and instills the winning mentality. So, yeah, I want that. I think it's realistic. You only have to play City or Liverpool or Chelsea once in a cup. Just get it right on the day. Things can happen. So, I don't think that's unrealistic. Champions League, it's just a lottery, man. It depends on a bit of luck, the draw you get. But that's going to be if you got to go link a Chelsea over 2 legs, or link a City or a Liverpool or a Bayern over 2 legs, and that it might be anything's possible, but it's also long in it. Do you know what I mean? But what I want to see is I want him to implement this style of play because I know he can. And the guys who can't do it, just ship them out while getting top four, and maybe a FA Cup. That's got to be it, man.
I know I said we were wrapping up, but let's quickly talk really quickly about Arsenal. I think you played them on Thursday. I think surely
Yeah,
that's a must-win game kind of now. Going into this now, everyone should be on a high. Off the back of the Chelsea result as well, which in reflection was a very good point for both teams, but more so for United as well. What's your thoughts on that game, really quick?
it's a must-win game. I think it's a must-win game because of where they're at the moment. I don't want to say anything premature, but I don't know. It feels like it's clicking for them, and the reason I say that is if you look at losing to Chelsea, losing to City, and losing to Liverpool, I think that's fine. I don't think there's nothing wrong with them defeats. But to lose against Liverpool, then come back and beat Newcastle means they're winning the games they're supposed to win. So it's a must-win game for us because at the moment it's looking like they're going to be around us in the table, and it all looks like we're pushing for the same positions. So we need to take the 3 points off them. But again, I'd have been more confident if Rangnick if this was a Saturday or a Sunday game, because he would have had 5, 6 days with the players to sort out a little tactics, a couple little things just to get through that game. Yeah, but this is a bit tight now. I know he's been appointed today, so I know he would have trained the players today and tomorrow, probably do a bit of shape on Wednesday. So, but yeah, if this was Sunday, I'd have been way more confident. But I'm still confident, man. We still got play. It's the thing, man. Like the way Sancho's played the last couple of games, the way some of the other players have played, we can score goals. So I want the 3 points. So I think we can do it, man. It's not gonna be easy, but we should be able to do it.
And I'm sure we'll talk about that on the next episode as well. Obviously, you got your second team as well, Palace on Sunday. It's going to be interesting.
All right, listen, you see this game, yeah? It's tense, man. But yeah, it's tense. But I think that one that's gonna be because obviously they got to bounce back now. They got Leeds. I think they got Leeds tomorrow, Wednesday. Um, so yeah, it's gonna be an interesting game, man.
Stay on the fence for that one.
Interesting. No, Man United beat them, but it obviously depends on. I'm more confident about that game because Rangnick will have 6 games. It'll be from now. You'll have a game to learn about the players against Arsenal, and that will be the real. For me, that's his real first game. So we'll see. But I'm expecting, realistically, it should be 6 points this week.
Yeah, it's got to be, man. It's got to be. I think the players should be on a high as well. With I feel like there was a like since Ollie's gone. And I'm not saying this is the reason, but there seems to be a bit of a change. Whether that's just because when a new manager comes in, you do get that kind of shift in morale. That seems to have happened.
Do you know what I think?
And the Chelsea game.
I'll tell you what I think it is as well. Yeah, it's just common sense side of the game. I don't know. Obviously, Luke Shaw's injured, so he's not in the team. Yeah, Maguire got suspended, so he's missed the game yesterday. But they were both out of form, and Telles was decent yesterday. Reece James cooked him a few times, but that's more based on the shape that we was playing with. I think he had no help, yeah, but he got cooked a couple of times, and Bailly was solid yesterday. So they just deserve them two deserve to come in the team based on how poor Shaw and Maguire were. And they both played well. And I think same with Sancho. Sancho's coming to the team. He weren't getting a chance. He's played well. Van der Beek played well in the week. Bruno played well when he came on against Villarreal. He was all right yesterday. And I think that's the thing. I think as long as these guys know, if they play shit, they're not going to be in the team. And when they come in, they got to work and play and earn the shirt on their back. Then, that makes a difference as well as the new manager.
That's how it should be as well. That's how it should be. But some big games coming up this week. Obviously, we'll have another episode probably at the weekend now. I don't know. We'll try and fit one in at some point. But massive weekend for Chelsea as well. I know we're doing United, but big one for Chelsea. Watford.
It's a big game, man. And I think for Chelsea, every game is a big game when the table is that tight. So, and nothing can be taken for granted. Like Watford turned us over, you know what I mean? So they can obviously we're not on the same form as Chelsea, but it just goes to show that you can't take anyone lightly in this league. And the players have to understand that and know that as well. Like they have to treat I don't want to say the cliche cup final like type of line, but the players have to take it serious, do you know what I mean? Because I'm sure at one point you had a 5-point gap, and now it's only a point in it. So this is what I mean. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So the players have to be switched on. They've got to be on it, and they've got to take their chances. Because Watford on the counter, they're not bad. Do you know what I mean? And the way Ranieri's got them playing, everyone behind the ball, 4-4-2, be compact. As soon as they get the ball, they go. So you have to be wary of that too.
Interesting couple of weeks now. Now you got your gaffer in charge. 6 months. It's gonna be interesting. But for those that are listening,
like I said as well.
Sorry, go on.
Sorry, just before we cut off, that's the thing. I just want to see him implement a style of play. I want to see us be more like defensively sound and more attacking structure. I just want to see a team that's coached well. That's all I want to see. And top four. Yeah, definitely.
This isn't an Ollie, is it? So it's not like and there's no disrespect to him, but he's not good enough to be at this level in terms of coaching. Neither were the back.
No, that's the truth.
So we'll see his own sort of style, his own staff as well, I'm sure. Yeah.
And just the last word on Ollie, like he done well for what he could do. Like he got 2 top 4 finishes, he got Champions League back-to-back years. That's his ceiling, and he achieved it, and he done well. And he changed the dressing room atmosphere, got rid of the players that wanted to go, and he made it a better environment for most of the duration of the time that he was there. So for what he could do, he done it. But as I said, he was never going to win a trophy with United.
That's
It was
true.
never going to happen. So yeah,
True, it's true. But we're gonna be back. We're gonna be back. Obviously, we'll be. Jesse might still be smiling after the weekend. Arsenal Palace wins. Hopefully, I'm smiling as well. But if you're listening on Apple or Spotify, you can follow us on YouTube, the Play to the Whistle podcast, or search for us. Or you can follow us on Instagram or Twitter at the PTTW podcast. So give us a like, subscribe, follow the accounts as well, and we will be back at the weekend for another review of the Premier League Week 14 coming up. But thank you for listening to this special. Yeah, man, looks like United might be doing a bit of business this weekend. We'll be back.
might be back.